Gentleman from California, Mr. Knight, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just make a couple comments before question. Coming from California, our biggest concern from small business is not so much the whole complexity of everything, but how much we change. Changing the rules every year seems to be the #1 concern of small business. I can't do a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan if you're going to change it 5 or 10 times on me. And I can't invest a certain amount of money if you're going to change the rules in the next few years on me. So let me ask just a broad question about that, about the Federal Government. How much does certainty help the small business, especially when it comes to taxes and regulations, as we move forward? And how much has that been changed since the reforms in the late 1990s?
I think it is the most critical part of us deciding to invest in new facilities, infrastructure, or machinery. If we know what we're facing, and we face it on time, sometimes the extenders are a little late, if we know what's ahead of us, we know how much risk can be taken to protect the jobs that we currently have.
Last month, there was an interesting study conducted by Institute for Policy Innovation where they reviewed reports from Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City and employment reports from the media, and they determined that the retroactive extension of Section 179 expensing was so sudden and created a level of certainty after so much uncertainty that it did not have its intended effect of helping investment. There was not a measurable rise, as expected at least, in things like agricultural equipment investments. It came too little too late.
I think the example we heard about bonus depreciation is clearly affects major purchases of capital equipment, and it can be very damaging.
Well, I would like to actually commend the Congress. You've made great progress since a few years ago when you had all the Bush tax cuts being expired or extended, and at least you've settled on big parts of the tax code. You have these remaining expiring provisions, and I would agree bonus depreciation is very important. Having an investment incentive that you give after the year is over doesn't really do very much for investment. So either keep it or get rid of it or modify it.
And I think several of the members have hit on a couple of the items that make it very important for us. If we talk about an overhaul, I'm an optimist, and I would like to see that, but I'm also a realist, that there are tens of thousands of people employed by the government, and there are close to 1 million people employed that do taxes, that do preparation, that do attorney work on taxes. And it's very difficult to do an overhaul when you're talking about close to a couple million jobs across the country. So I would ask that you have a little bit of an open mind, too, when we're talking about little pieces that we can do that will help small business especially, and we can get them through, especially in Congress where we don't agree all the time. And getting something that's bipartisan, that moves forward, that gets signed by the President is very important, especially when we're talking about the entrepreneurs that are hiring people, that are expanding, that are helping our economy like no one else can. So those are the comments that me as a freshman would like to move forward with, and especially the optimism of getting something done in my first session. So I yield back the balance of my time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.